One of the great skills you can have as a writer is the ability to connect or combine sentences. You don't always want to do this, of course, but sometimes it can be handy to bring sentences together, to kind of weave them together in different ways. And what I'd like to do in this video is just give a few examples of how you can do that effectively. This is a bit of a interactive video in some ways, if you want it to be. So what you can actually do is just write a couple of sentences yourself and then see if you can follow the same patterns that we're going to describe in this video. What you want is two sentences kind of next to each other, and these sentences should have something to do with each other. They should have some kind of bearing on each other, but they should not yet have any conjunctions or, anything that ties them together yet. So our two sentences are, young people are often training too hard to be major league pitchers. That's a full stop there. And then our second sentence reads, many of them end up needing Tommy John surgery. And Tommy John surgery is elbow surgery. Let's see how we can bring these two sentences together a little bit more. And as we do this, as mentioned, you can try this with your own sentences as well. The first thing you can do is simply put a punctuation mark in between that draws them together more. And your three major options are a semicolon, a colon, or a dash. So you would use a semicolon if you think these are clauses or sentences that are sort of on the same level. They have a kind of equality here, and they're obviously about the same topic as well. The colon would be used if your second sentence zooms in more or explains the first, and then the dash is a fairly casual kind of, or more casual kind of punctuation mark that simply extends or continues the sentence. In our case, the semicolon is probably best, and now these two clauses are on the same level. The semicolon indicates that they are closely related in theme and in content, and so we can bring them together. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use a conjunctive adverb to tie them together. And the conjunctive adverb here comes after a period, but you could also put it after a semicolon. So our conjunctive adverb is however, and there are lots of these kinds of big conjunctions that tie together sentences rather than just clauses within a sentence. Other examples would be moreover, nevertheless. There are lots of these conjunctive adverbs that tie big units like this together. So try that yourself. See if you can find a conjunctive adverb that can tie your sentences together. The next thing we'll do is we're going to make one of these clauses dependent. So one of our clauses is going to become dependent on the other one. And you can pick which one you want to make dependent. So in our case, what we've done is we've used this subordinating conjunction because. That's our first version. We'll look at this sentence in a second. And now it reads, because young baseball players are often training too hard to be major league pitchers, many of them end up needing Tommy John surgery. You can see that we're really bringing out the sense of cause and effect here. Because of this, we also have that. And each sentence changes the tone, the focus a little bit, and in this case, with subordination, we really put the emphasis on the Tommy John surgery. This is not some kind of afterthought, but there's really a cause and effect here. If you do that, you'll probably end up needing this. Okay? The other thing we can do is we can stick some of this information that's turn into a dependent clause a little bit later in our sentence. And what we've done here is we have young baseball players, that's our subject here, and then we have this relative clause that introduces a new subject with who. So this is a relative clause, and a relative clause is just one kind of dependent clause. It starts with a relative pronoun here, so who trained too hard to be major league pitchers. That's the end of our relative clause. And then we continue with may end up needing Tommy John surgery. You can see that this one as well just subordinates this part here, makes it less important, gives it more as background information, and then focuses a lot more again on needing this kind of surgery. And that's how you can really change the focus of your sentence to whatever you think is most important. The last thing you can do if you're still following along and you're trying this out yourself is to turn one of the clauses or one of the sentences into a phrase. And that's what our last two examples will be like. See if you can turn one of them into a phrase. What we've done here is we've used this past participle, well, actually a present participle and a past participle. So we have having trained, and these participles, these are participles, they start a participial phrase. You can see that this is a phrase because there's no subject in this part of the sentence. It doesn't say who has trained. We have to wait for that, for the answer to that till the main clause. So that's one way to do it. In the other one here, we also have a participial phrase, training. This is a present participle, but now we have stuck it a little bit further into the sentence. There are lots of other phrases you can use as well, but hopefully this exercise gets you at least thinking about how you can combine sentences. Not that you always have to, but it's great to have the option and the ability to do so.